All right, hey Matthew. I assume this car's shipping soon, so I wanted to film this video and just show you a few things about the car, so you didn't have too many questions when you get it. If you do, you can always hit me up, but this will show you some of the tricks and stuff. Starting it, so like I had told you before, the windshield wipers controls here, does work. They're currently disconnected, and let's see if I can show you underneath. See, you have a vacuum line here. It's kind of hard to see, but it runs through into the dash. I have it disconnected, or under the engine bay. I have it disconnected in there because there is a bit of a vacuum leak at the windshield wiper vacuum mechanism, and you'll hear it when it's running. So I don't use them, so I've disconnected it, but I'll show you when I'm in the engine bay, and if you want to reconnect them, you can plug them back in there. And they do work, but you'll hear a little hissing from the vacuum leak at the motor, the vacuum motor. Lights work great. Pull all the way out. Pull in is like parking lights and then headlights. Key. And let me show you here. I have 3 keys for the car. And they all work the same. They're all the same key. So the ignition switch works fine, but it is really worn inside, so the key will not latch in place. It can even fall out like while you're driving, so keep an eye on that. And let me think what else I can go through here. Choke is over here. I have replaced the choke cable with a new one because the old one was bent and it didn't move smoothly. So this one is actually from an earlier, I can only get a choke cable for an earlier car, like a 49 and 50, and you'll see that it doesn't, it's slightly too long. So choke off is here. I have it pushed in all the way, but you'll see there's a little gap. It doesn't seat all the way. Choke it, just pull out about that much. And then you can easily adjust it on the fly to get it idling right when it's cold. Interior light switch is here. Let's see, forget. Yeah, pull out to activate. And you have one interior light back here. That's it. And don't leave that on because you'll kill the battery. Here's the original radio. It does not work, but the backlight does work on it, so that's nice. But the radio doesn't work. And I don't think the clock works. I've never paid any attention to it, but right there. Pull out ashtray and tuner and all that stuff. Heater box is under there. Here you can see the wiring for where I've mounted the radio. It's just mounted hanging underneath the old radio, so it's easy to remove. And then it has clips, plugs here for everything, for the speakers and power wire and all that stuff. So you can easily like disconnect it and remove it, and the wiring's just tied out of the way. And it runs underneath the carpet. And then you have, let's see the other one. You have your 2 speakers in the back. And inside the dash here in this grill was where the original speaker was. Let's see if I can show it okay. Might be kind of dark. But anyways, if you can see it, there's 2 4-inch speakers mounted to the old speaker frame in there. Okay, radio power. Let's see if I can focus better. Is right here. It's been cold and I haven't charged the battery in a while, so it might be dead. Oh no, okay, good. So that's radio power, and it'll connect to your Bluetooth or whatever. Make sure you flip that off to turn the radio off when you're done, because it's not tied to the ignition switch anyway, or in any way. So you need to turn it on when you're using it. Takes a minute to boot up, and then turn it off when you're done. And this is just using an existing hole in the dash, so I didn't drill anything new there. So I'm including, here's the charger, the lithium battery charger for the Shirai lithium battery that powers the radio. I'll put this in the glove box, but power plug, charger. Then if we go up to the glove box, all the receipts and paperwork I have are in there. And then you'll see the battery mounted in there. And then to charge it, you just have this plug and that long white plug plugs in right there to the matching, so let me get this to focus, connector on the battery. So really easy, or on the charger. And then there's your power plug. Okay, so easy to charge. I just opened the glove box here, and plug it in, and then set it to charge mode. And then when it charges up, it'll change, or you can press the store button. So when you first plug it in, you hit charge and it'll flash and get all charged up, and then it goes to store automatically, I think, but you can also just hit store, and that's like the maintenance mode if you're leaving it sitting for a while. Okay, cool. So it's pretty much everything inside the car. Not much to see about the back. Here's your emergency brake. Works well. I've adjusted the brakes recently, so they're great. The hood does have a hood release cable inside, so you just pull that out, and then we'll go up front and I'll show you how to open the hood from there. Here's your air controls. This is to let fresh air in through the vents. And down below, if you can see that circle flap right there, that's the vent for that side. And then there's the other one. So you can open and close those doors, and then that air knob right there opens the inside flap to let fresh air in through those. And then here's your blower control. So it's just on off, one speed, and your temperature controls are over here. So, you know, I don't run it if it's not hot, but you can leave it on ventilate. I think lets air in through the bottom vents as well, maybe, I'm not sure. And then heat and defrost work fine. And then your temp, which you can pretty much just leave it on high, because if you're using heat, you want that. The heater doesn't get super hot, so that's as good as it gets. And if everything's shut off, the fan's not running, nothing's coming out anyways. And then your defroster vents are up here on both sides, and they do work. Cool. Okay, so that's inside the car. Let me go to the engine, show you a few things. Okay, so you got a relatively new battery in here. I think I got a little oil on it when I changed the oil. Oil dipstick's down here, and I've just recently changed it in the filter, so everything's good in there. Here's your oil filter. You can get the filters easily from Shoebox Central. Just take the cap off. There's an O-ring in there. You pull the filter unit out, plug a new one in. Super easy. Let's see what else. Here's the air box, or the air filter I was telling you about. It's an oil bath filter, but it's dry. There's no oil in it anymore because it just makes a mess. And yeah, there's all your ignition stuff over there. Everything's tuned up and running well, so it really doesn't need anything at the moment. And then here's your hood latch cable right here. So to open the hood, you pull that hood release inside, and you'll hear it pop. And then when you come out here to open the hood, you can lift the hood up a little bit, but it'll catch on the latch here. So to open it the rest of the way, you just hold the hood up with one hand and then press this in with your other hand to unhitch it from the hook up there. So you'll get it the first time you do it. I can't really show you with holding the camera, but it's easy to do. Yeah, and your blower fan's back there. It has new heater hoses and stuff, so everything's working well. The cooling system works well. I've just checked all the fluids. I don't know if we can see in there okay, but we're good on coolant. Oil's good. And then let me show you where the master cylinder for the brakes are. Oh, let me show you this as well. Here's your horn button. So the rem blow horn doesn't work. Somebody in the past disconnected it. Probably the contact's broke inside. So your horn is this round button under here. Okay, and I put a new master cylinder in this to make sure the brakes work well. The old one was leaking. So let's see. I've cut 2 flaps in here to access different things. This accesses a panel for something. I don't recall what, but I cut it so you could get to it. It's to access something under the car for adjustment. No need to mess with that one, though. I don't even remember why I cut it. And let's see if I can get this open. This is the one to know about. This is how you access the brake master cylinder. Okay, so you open that up, and you'll see this round plastic cover that you just pry out of the way. And that right there is the cap to your master cylinder. So it comes off. You can use like a crescent wrench. It's not super tight, and then you can unscrew it, and that's where you fill it and check the level from. And I've checked it, and it's topped up fine. And like I said, it's a brand new one from Shoebox Central because the old one was leaking, and I didn't like it. Cool. Okay, so that Go to the trunk real quick. Trunk just uses the same key. And nothing special back here. I already showed you the fuel sender I think you're going to replace. But I got everything in there. There's the glass, all the old parts, and your license plate. And I put that Colorado plate on it for you. Okay, and then let me show you how I start it. So like, it's like 40 degrees out today, so it's cold, but it's not like freezing or anything. One thing you don't need, but you can use is right here, this switch. Pull down to turn it on, up turns it off. That's a electric fuel pump. And I'm pretty sure the old owner put it in there, and it was to try and fight carb problems because he never had the carb set up right. After I did the carburetor, there's no need for this, but it does work. You need to turn the key to on, and then if I hit it, you'll hear the pump running. So you can use it to prime the float bowl and the carb if you need to, but there's really generally no need for it. I'm gonna leave it off. Let me put it in neutral here. Okay, so cold start, like today, pull the choke like 3/4 of the way out, and then I'll usually give it like 2 pumps, and then crank. Usually it'll fire right up. Sometimes, especially when it's really cold, it might die and takes a couple tries with pumping the gas once or twice. And then you want to, when you get it going, get your choke adjusted right, because you'll notice it start to like run kind of rough if you've choked it too much and it's too warm out. So you'll get the feel for it. Just set the choke correctly until you hear it and, you know, feel it idling well. And so all the gauges are working well. Like I said, the fuel gauge is intermittent right now. That's probably about right. It's probably a little over half tank or so. Oil pressure is always good. The charging gauge works well. Temp gauge does too. It's just totally cold. And then one thing I want to show you, let me shut this off. So the spring, like I said, this ignition switch is worn. It's very worn. It does work fine, but it's worn. So it usually when you turn it crank to the cranked start position, you let go, the key should spring back to on, and then all your gauges come on. Well, this old worn ignition switch won't automatically go back to the on position. So a lot of times when you start it, if I don't let the key go back to the on position, which it's not right now, you'll notice the gauges don't work. See how oil pressure's off and temp's gone crazy and all that stuff? Nothing's wrong, it's just an old ignition switch. So getting in the habit of clicking it back to the on position like you just heard, then gets it switched into the position that powers everything correctly. So if you ever notice none of the gauges are working, it's probably because you did not get the switch returned to the on position. Probably not a bad idea to replace this ignition switch at some point. It is very worn, but it does work just fine. I've never had it fail on me. But anyways, yeah, that's probably about it. Car warms up pretty quick. So I mean, that's a totally cold start. There's choke off all the way already, but it's still idling a little rough. So I found really, you know, cold weather, like really just playing with the choke a little bit, give it 5 minutes to warm up and get your choke correctly the whole time, keep adjusting it to keep the idle smooth, and it'll be warmed up and ready to rock. So, okay man, I think that's about everything with the car. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me and I'm happy to help. All right, see you buddy.